Welcome back. This is the Grinning Goat uh, Castle Murder at Castle Nathria card review. This is Abhikta.
This is Merps. That wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
I
Okay,
cut it short. I was like, this is dying. This is dying. I'm ending it.
let's talk about Hunter. We're not gonna. Okay, look, you guys know this is my class. I've loved it since for a long time, but the true aggro hunter has not really made a comeback because the buckets left, and I couldn't just pick from like similar quote, similar cards. Um, let's not sort of like hide the ball here. What we are going to see in this expansion for Hunter is the strongest total package of class cards to ever come out for any class. Now, if you're thinking, wait, we've had sets that have given classes like Paladins some really good cards. Yes, like two S or almost S tier cards. If you just look at Shaman recently, for example, Wildpaw Cavern plus Snowfall Guardian, two really, really good cards, along with some other pretty good cards. None of those compare to the entire package of cards that Hunter is getting for this expansion. It is the strongest set ever given to any class, and it is a doozy here.
Yup. There's a lot of cards. They're good. They do different things. We're gonna just start out with some A tier cards, just some casual A tier cards. That's usually the best cards of
Casual
the
A
past.
tier.
And
Casual A.
that's
Yeah.
before. Okay, I'll just tell you right now. The main mechanic for Hunter does not exist in a common card. I don't know why. This is a weird thing for Blizzard to do, but that's how it is. So we're gonna start with just casually good A tier cards for Hunter. Now, Hunter gets a lot of powerful cards, but they're usually not tempo oriented. And here, okay, you're gonna see. Let's start with the first A tier card, Stonebound Gargan. Stonebound Gargan is a 4 mana 3/5 beast with Rush. That's a good card. If you infuse a 3, though, which is very easy to do, it may even be done by turn 4. It also damages the minions next to whomever this attacks. With Rush, remember. This card has Rush.
It's really freaking good. It's also a beast.
Yeah, why
So
not?
it has some beast synergies. You can like draw it in some ways, I think. I think this is a solid A card. The infuse is great. I think the only thing holding it back is like this, it's not as good as it could be for stats, and
Mm-hmm.
if they position properly, they can stop this somehow. Like it is quote only 3 damage, but A's are like really, really good cards, and I think this just like fits because infuse 3 is so easy to get.
Yep. Yep. Remember, if you're facing Hunter now, put your big stuff in the middle. Big stuff in the middle. Don't put your 1/1 in the middle. That's how you're gonna get Stonebound Gargan. I mean, you're gonna get Stonebound Gargan anyway. You're just not gonna lose as frequently to one 4 mana card. That is a common. Okay. There's not much to say. This is not a lot of strategy or anything. Just like, and by the way, this is one of those cards where yeah, the infuse is great. It's like, oh, AOE, I'm gonna hold it. Bad players are gonna wait for the infuse. Good players are not gonna care about the infuse. It's very easy to trigger, but it also doesn't do enough that if you have a good target for Stonebound Gargan, you use it. If you have nothing else to do on 4, you obviously use it. But it's like, yes, the infuse is very easy to trigger, but if you happen to not have triggered it and you have a good target, just go for it. It's a 4 mana 3/5 rush. It's good by itself.
Yep. All right, next one.
Next one is another A tier card, just another casual A tier common card. Why not? It is Frenzied Fangs. This one's 2 mana, summon 2/2/1 bats. That's not that great, but also not bad. That's pretty on curve. And infuse 3. Give them +1/+2. So summon two 4/4 bats.
What? What you mean 3/3?
Yeah, sorry, 3/3 bats. Summon 2/4/4 bats. Summon 2/3/3 bats. Which is what you would expect from like a 5-drop. But it's a 2 mana. And it's only infused 3. So you're not going to trigger it on turn 2, but you're going to trigger it pretty quickly thereafter. And then you're going to get a big tempo boost at like turn 5 or something by doing this with a 3-drop or whatever.
Okay. Yeah, I think 2 mana for double 2/1s, that is expected, right? That's sort of what you should get. So this is fine. It's just something with upside. And once again, this is more fuel for your infuse, right? It's something that has more bodies, because for 2 mana, you're kind of just expecting 1 body. So this is just really, really nice. And then, it plays off of your other infuse as well. It's just a card that is super solid. You're going to draft it anyways and makes other things stronger. Very nice.
But by the way, what it summons are not just beasts, but they are the specific card called a Thirsty Bat. Not just a bat, but a Thirsty Bat. You may think a Thirsty Bat has like lifesteal or something, but no, it doesn't. It's a neutral card, but it's a Thirsty Bat. You can get 2 Thirsty Bats.
Great.
Did not affect the score. Okay, the last common card from Hunter is only a B. Only a B, which is still better than the average card in your deck. It is Batty Guest. It is a 1-mana 1/1 Death Rattle, summon a 2/1 Bat. That's right. We have now finally, we didn't finally, the mech that we got last time also power creeped. And this is a class card, but Argent Squire, Mermy, that whole line of minions are now power creeped officially by tempo stats. 1-mana 1/1, summon a 2/1 Bat. Death Rattle.
Really freaking good. Like, I love these. Like, that good 1-drops just speak to me. So I love this thing. I love Alley Cats. I love all of those kind of really nice Hunter 1-drops. So look, this card, especially during the aggro Hunter metas, oh my gosh, this would be amazing. I would absolutely love this. It's still nice because I think Hunters always, like, no matter what, have the ability to put some pressure on your opponents. You don't always have to like try to go aggro, right? But you can take away some of the cards by just putting pressure on them, right? Invalidating some of the cards in their hands. That kind of never changes with Hunter. So love this kind of stuff.
Yeah, like if you're thinking about it in terms of the meta and like, oh, it's a slow meta, everything's delayed. Remember what we said, it's not just that everyone's going to go to the end of their deck. Few games are going to go to the end of the deck. At some point, someone's going to get a swing on tempo on the board, and the other player is not going to have a defense to that because they've used up all their counter swings or defenses or whatever. And then player 1 is going to win because they will hit face. And if you're a Hunter, that is especially true. And these like early damage, the early tempo, all of this really adds up because you have that extra wiggle room. With another class, you may have trouble finishing them off. Like, if you're only dealing, like, 15 damage to their face and they have 25 health, like, I don't know, you could go face, but then if you get wiped off the board, you're not doing much after that. But with Hunter, you can still hero power them down afterwards. So you get a lot more wiggle room. So that extra early damage matters a lot for Hunter still. Okay, Batty Guest. Those are your common cards. Now, let's talk about your rare cards. Let's do the mechanic last. We're going to start actually with the worst card in Hunter. The worst card in the new set in Hunter. It is Castle Kennels. This is the first location card. So let's talk about what location cards actually mean. This is the first location card that you are actually potentially going to draft. It is still the worst card to come in this set for Hunter, but it's not a bad card at all. It's a C+. It's pretty much the average card in your deck. It's a little worse than the average card in your deck, but it's totally more than draftable. And locations work like weapons, except after you use it, they go on cooldown for 1 turn, 1 extra turn compared to weapons, so you can't just use it again the next turn. And rather than taking a weapon slot, they take a slot on the board like a minion would. That's a location. So this one is a 2-mana, 3 durability location that says, give a friendly minion +2 attack. If it's a beast, give it rush. You're going to have a lot of beasts. Remember, a lot of thirsty bats and stuff. And giving a friendly minion +2 attack means you're going to give a total of +6 attack for 2 mana. And you're going to give probably 2 rushes. You can also just kind of, it's not a 2-drop, but you can just like put this on the board and not use it on the first turn if you don't have anything to buff with, and it's still something you've done with your mana, right? It's like equipping a weapon and not attacking with it. They're all options. Very flexible card. Would not be great in another class, but in Hunter, the beasts are a thing, and it's gonna be really annoying when all the beasts are rushing.
Yep. I think that's all the evaluation it needs.
Yep. All right. Now we're looking at the other rare cards. This one is a what is this one? Okay. This one's another A tier card. Yeah. Another A tier card for Hunter. This one's a rare spell, 8 mana, collateral damage. Deal 6 damage to 3 random enemy minions. Excess damage hits the enemy hero. Excess damage hits the enemy hero is always amazing in Hunter. So it's a very exciting card. It's also not that random, because 6 damage probably kills whatever the hell you're hitting. So if there's 3 targets, they're all dead. It's random if they have like more than 3 targets, right? So it's like sometimes random, but most of the time it won't really be random.
You know what I kind of like about this card in a very reminiscent way? If you guys remember the days of MCT, like way back when, we're talking about so many years ago, right? And there were times in which you always thought, no matter what class you were, is it worth it for me to like add an extra 2/1 or 1/1 onto the board, right?
Mm-hmm.
To basically play into MCT. You kind of have to get back into that mode when you're facing Hunter again. Like when you're doing this, you should be tracking their hand, by the way, because this is one of those in which if you're playing something extra to get a little bit of tempo, but the Hunter has been holding something, and you take an extra 5 damage due to this, like you have probably lost.
Yes.
Like you definitely lose. 5 extra damage to the face is a little bit too much. That consideration is definitely back on the table. Like you cannot afford to take that extra damage. You have to do the calculation in your head. Like, man, they've been saving this card. I think there's a decent chance it's collateral damage. Maybe I don't play, if you're a paladin, for example, maybe I don't hero power. It's a consideration now, because this card is just going to blast you in the face. It is going to end games, because even if it just like damages one thing, but you have 2 smaller things, and this thing like damages a bigger thing and then hits face for like, I don't know, 8 damage. I think that's like fair, right? It could just end the game like that, like whether it ends the game on that turn or the next turn. So holy heck, this is like such a good card. And games are going to go a little bit longer, so I won't spoil it, but Hunters just have so many good cards, and for this to put additional pressure on the opponent after you have put all the initial pressure with all of your other good cards, this is why Hunters are going to be so strong. If it's just good tempo plays from the early game, it's just good tempo plays. And then once they survive it, clear it, blah, blah, blah. Some stuff that, for example, you're used to Warlocks doing in the recent metas, right? They clear you, they put out a bunch of stuff. And then they're like, okay, I finally stabilized. I've survived their wild seeds and everything. And then like this hits you in the late game, it's over. Like it's backbreakingly good. So yeah, like it's good in any meta, but it's so good in this meta.
Up to 15 damage to your opponent's face as Hunter. How did they print this card? I don't even know how you play around this card. I don't like it's a 8 mana Flame Strike that only hits 3 minions rather than the whole entire board, but that face damage is where it's at. This is not about the removal. This is about the face damage. It is a backbreaking face damage card.
A lot of the times it does clear a decent amount, if not like all of their board, which is great by itself, right? Which is great. And then other times it will just kill them on the spot, which is also great. You don't need to clear them or worry about minions if you just kill them on the spot. That's pro tip right there. So it's so good.
Yeah. And like Merp said, against Hunters now, if you're winning, you really got to think about whether you're putting out extra minions. because this is not like, I see in chat there was some confusion about it. It's not like it's gonna deadly strike 3 times. It's that it's like going to flame strike once. So if you don't put out the extra minions, it's not going to repeatedly hit the same minion. So if you have like a 12 health minion or like a 15 health minion, and and your opponent plays collateral damage, that minion is only taking 6 damage. It's not dying. And then more face damage is going to you. So if you have 3 minions, you take more face damage unless they're all 6 health or over. If you only have 1 minion, this card is not good at all, right? Like you need at least 2 minions for this card to be playable on the board. But going to that 3rd minion, that potentially loses you the game. Okay, so that is collateral damage, and now we're getting to the good stuff. If you thought all those cards were good, those are the appetizers. Those are just like, here's some good A tier cards for Hunter. We are now finally getting to the first non-legendary S tier card, and one of only 2 non-legendary S tier cards in this set. Now, I say one of only 2, but there's usually like no S tier cards that are not legendaries in sets. S tier cards just don't exist and shouldn't exist. If you look at Sunken City, there were no S tier cards at all outside of the Colossals. If you look at what's the one before that, Alteric, there was Bloodseeker, and there was Protect the Innocent, and there was Templar Captain, and there was Wallpaw Cavern. And those are all terrible cards that should never have entered the arena. This set has 2 of them. Sorry. I forgot. This set has 3 of them. Hunter has another one. I just in my head I assumed it was a legendary because it was in Epic, and it's even more ridiculous. But yeah, so this set has 3 of them, and 2 of them are in Hunter. This is the worst of the 2 S tier cards. This one's just S tier. It is not S plus. But remember, Wallpaw Cavern is just S tier. Should not be in the game. It is Spirit Poacher. And this will introduce you to the mechanic that is totally broken in Arena, and I predict all these cards are going to not just be reduced, but actually just be totally removed from the Arena, because they are too good. And this mechanic is called Dormant Wild Seed. So, this card is very simple. It's a 2-mana 2/2, Battle Cry, summon a random Dormant Wild Seed. Super simple.
You need to show and read out all of these wild seeds.
Okay, so what are wild seeds, right? What are wild seeds? Wild seeds are a set of 3 cards like relics, only unlike relics, they don't suck, they're insanely good. And they're not cards that you can actually put into your deck or anything. So your options for the random dormant wild seed are, first off, a Fox Spirit Wild Seed. A Fox Spirit Wild Seed is a 1-mana 3/1, dormant for 1 turn, rush. It's like a Pelican, but worse. Your second Wild Seed is a Bear Spirit Wild Seed. It is a 2-mana 2/5 taunt, but it is dormant for 2 turns. So, if you remember, normally dormant for 2 turns means you go up a mana, and that makes it a fair value. It's still a better value than the like a 3-mana 2/5 taunt. This is a better value than a 3-mana 2/5 taunt, but it's similar. So, again, a good card, but nothing super special to write home about. Like, if Fox Spirit Wild Seed and Bear Spirit Wild Seed existed as cards, they would be like B tier cards. Stack Spirit Wild Seed is your 3rd card, and this one is a 3-mana 5/4 beast, dormant for 3 turns. But when this awakens, equip a 4/2 Great Bow. The Great Bow, by the way, is not called a Great Bow. The Great Bow is called a Stack Point Wild Bow. So, I don't know what the naming convention is doing, but it's just a 4/2 weapon. So, you get a 5/4, which would normally cost you 4 mana, and then a 4/2 weapon, which will normally cost you 4 mana. So, for 2 cards, what will normally cost you 2 cards and 8 mana, you're getting for 3 mana. You just have to wait 3 turns.
You just have to wait, right? So this is basically what, like a super Gnarg? It's like a super Gnarg, right?
Yes, yeah, it is a super Gnarg.
It's a super Gnarg, but we know Gnarg wasn't really that good, so that's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. You gotta power creep it.
Yeah, exactly. Gennard wasn't good enough, so you got to make a better Gennard. Um, this is just ridiculous. It's just super duper good. Spirit Poacher, like the only thing you can say is like, oh, you don't really want to play a 2 mana 2/2, and that's fine. But
No, but it's never a 2 mana 2/2. At its worst,
I
it's a 2
know,
mana 2/2 that the next turn you have a 3/1 rush, which is like a 2
yeah,
mana 2/2 with a 3/1 stealth, which is
that's
way better
kind
than
of
a 2 drop should ever be.
yes. So look, S tier cards are kind. We're getting into like colossal good, right? Territory now.
Colossals are S plus plus.
Some of them, some of them.
Most of them are S plus plus.
Yeah. So look, this is like no card that is like a non-legendary that like should just come out on turn 2 and be that good. It just shouldn't be. I totally agree with you that I think this card and some of the other cards that we're going to talk about kind of have to be banned, or if not banned, just like tuned to oblivion.
No, banned.
Right?
Banned. You can't. It's a 2 drop. You can't tune this to oblivion. You ban it. This is not even like legendary levels of. No one is excited to see this card played against them or to play this card. And if they are,
Yeah.
they should not be encouraged to do that. Like even your Timmies should have better Timmy stuff, right? Like the bigger cards, the more interesting cards. The thing about it is that it's also not interesting. Like, you're just summoning another minion. You're just putting more normal crap onto the board than you should be allowed to by like a lot. Like I don't know what the constructed design is. I think in Hunter, as long as things can't go face immediately, they are not good in Hunter. That has to be what it is, because they are doing insane things with Hunter in this meta.
All right.
Insane things.
Should we move on to the next one? Because the next one is basically like a lot of them are just continuations of the same conversation, right?
Yeah, fine. So the Wild Seed cards are coming up. Next, we have Stag Charge. Let's go with a Sane card. Stag Charge is the epic spell. This is also a Wild Seed card. It is a epic spell Wild Seed card, and it's only a A, which makes it the worst Wild Seed card.
What trash.
It's terrible, terrible card. Just an A. Just an A. Just like the best cards that the other classes get. That's all this is. It is a 3-mana spell that says deal 3 damage. Can go face. Summon a random dormant Wild Seed. Like, 2/2 would normally be 1 mana. Deal 3 damage would normally be 1.5 mana. But you have to be charging 3 mana for this, and it's also summoning a random dormant Wild Seed, and it's coming out a turn later, so the Wild Seeds are less, like, dominating the curve.
Yeah. That's really the problem. It's like you are getting it's the turn later, right? So it's okay. Like I mean not okay. It's an A. Like A's are extraordinarily good, but yes, like if you were comparing it to what we were comparing it to before, then yeah, it's I think people can easily see how it's a little bit worse, right?
Like this should be, if you're gonna have Wild Seeds, this should be the payment you have for Wild Seeds. Not a 2 mana 2/2, but a 3 mana deal 3 damage. Like we went over this conversation when we were doing card reviews for the last 2 sets. Like 2 mana deal 2 damage, 3 mana deal 3 damage, 4 mana deal 4 damage. Those are so under tempo now for modern sets. Like you are paying a pretty hefty price with that. And so you're getting a Dormant Wild Seed, and it's like, okay, this is just a super premium card, fine. But 2 mana 2/2s, that's still, it's just 2 on curve. Okay, that's Stag Charge. Now, we're moving on to the other epic card. I don't even want to. It's a little obscene. This card is the first card that is above more than a S plus that is not a legendary. The only cards that have ever been printed in the history of Hearthstone that was higher than an S plus were class colossals, and only a few of them. This one is an S plus plus. And yeah, we're gonna read this card out. I want you to be seated. I want you to, if you're driving and listening to this on a podcast, probably just like pause it and pull over to the side and then continue listening, because I don't want to be responsible for any kind of accidents, especially if you haven't gotten back in the arena right now. Like if this is the time you're coming back into the arena, you may not want to listen to this card, because this is a real card. We're not making this up, and it is not preemptively banned in the arena. This will be in the arena. It is an epic. You're not going to see it that often. But everyone's going to be playing Hunter, so maybe you will see it that often. It is a 3-mana nature spell. Summon 2 different dormant wild seeds. Like, how crazy is that? 2 of those freaking ridiculous wild seeds for just 3 mana. And then your wild seeds awaken 1 turn sooner. So
it's insane.
Instead of a 3-1, it's already ridiculous if it didn't have the additional ability. But instead of a 3-1 that is stealth, you get a 3-1 with rush immediately. Instead of waiting 3 turns to get your 4/2 weapon and a 5/4, you get them in 2 turns, which is like what you normally should be. Like we talked about, right? It's normally 1 mana up when you go dormant for 2 turns. That's how they started the dormant mechanic. So the 1 single wild seed would have been the equivalent of a 4-mana 5/4 that gives you a true silver. Like, what? That's just 1 of them. And you get 2 wild seeds. And it's also 2 different wild seeds. So it's actually going to be very rare. It's only going to be 1/3 of the time that you don't get that 4-drop as one of your options. Not options, as one of the random things you summon. I don't understand this card.
Why did they make him awaken faster?
Why did they not make this 6 mana? I'm not even kidding. At 6 mana, this would be a great card.
Yeah, I mean, for Arena, it would. Like, yes, for Arena, it would be fine. But, like, they gotta think about Constructed, right?
Mm-hmm. It's an S++, meaning it broke the scale of S+. And this is the card, actually. This card is the reason. Like, back when we were doing Colossuses, I just called them all S+, even if they went above S+. I'm like, we're not going into, like, XS tier or whatever. But with this card, we're like, this is no longer legendary. This is just a regular card. And people gotta know. People gotta know this is not the same level of busted that was busted before. This is power creep. The other cards we're talking about, those were not power creep. Those were just what the new thing is. And we don't like it, and we don't like caverns, and they're going to get their offering odds reduced, and we're just going to have to live with it. But this is the next level here. Wild Spirits is the card's name. It is an epic hunter card. You win the game 2/3 of the time if you play it, and the other 1/3 of the time, you are very, 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 very far ahead.
Yep. It's just ridiculously good. Like, because I think it's easy to compare this with the other cards that we have seen, right? Like the 2-mana card and the 3-mana card, and you're just like, wait, this is just strictly better. Like when you're comparing it, it's like, oh, 2 mana for a 2/2 that doesn't speed things up, okay. 3 mana for just 3 damage, okay. Well, you're replacing both of those things with an extra wild seed, and then you're making it go faster.
The making it go faster part is straight up silly.
Yes.
Straight up silly. But really, this honestly, if this was a 6-mana card, I think it would be A tier. That's how stupid this card is. You know what? I think it would be S tier if this was a 6-mana card. I don't even think it would be A tier. It may not be S tier, but it'll definitely be A tier or above if it were a 6-mana card. This is just totally silly. All right, I mean, hopefully it'll get removed from the arena or nerfed to oblivion. I really think all the wild seeds should just be removed, but otherwise it'll get nerfed to oblivion in terms of offering rates. I don't know if this is viable and constructed and if it'll get actually nerfed, but the offering rate thing in Arena is definitely happening with this one. I mean, it's definitely happening with all the Wild Seed cards, right? Like, maybe not Stag Charge, but probably also yes Stag Charge, just because they're going to be nerfing everything anyway. All right. You want to go on to the legendaries?
Yeah, let's do it. I
Let's
got
go
nothing more to
on.
say. It's insane. These cards are insanely good.
Yep. Let's go on to the legendaries. The legendary, there's one that's wild seed and one that's not wild seed. We'll do the wild seed one first because we're on a roll with all the wild seed cards. The wild seed one is Aralon. Aralon is a 5 mana 4/5 battle cry. Summon one of each dormant wild seed. You know how you summon three? You know how you summon two for 3 mana? Well, for 2 more mana, you get one more wild seed. You get the guarantee of the good wild seed, the like really busted wild seed, and you get a 4/5 body. So you took a card that was busting the scales, and for 2 more mana, you added a wild seed, which pretty much keeps in line with the power level of that old card, and then you just throw in a free 4/5. So this card is not a S tier card. This card is a S tier card.
Plus now.
There's 3 pluses now. I mean, it's not like this is a new power level and then Blizzard made a bunch of power level cards like this the way it was Colossus. This is just this one card. It's not like later on, we're not going to give you more S T plus tier cards. I'll spoil it for you right now. There are no other S plus tier cards even. There's a couple more S tier cards, but no S plus tier cards even. And this one has 3 pluses. I'm gonna go back and do the Colossus cards again at some point when I am not as jet lagged and when I get bored, just to see how many pluses actually go on each of those Colossus at launch. But I think there might be one that was plus, maybe. So I can't confidently say this is breaking new ground. But if it's not breaking new ground, it's at the same level as the highest ground that has existed. And it's freaking 5 mana. So the Colossus ones were all 7 mana and above, I think. At least the good ones.
Alright. Well, look, it's just getting to ridiculous levels, right? It's like, oh, is this a plus or a plus? I never thought we'd get here. I honestly thought we'd never.
No, like, what is this card? What is this card? I'll read you what the card actually says instead of what it's trying to hide. It's a 5 mana 4/5 with a 3/1 stealth, a 2/5 card that is frozen for a turn, a 2/5 taunt that is frozen in stealth for a turn, and also a 4/2 weapon and a 5/4 minion that is frozen for 2 turns. That's what this card is. Like frozen in stealth. Why? What? Like this is like a 10 mana. You know how the other one was 3 mana and it should be like 6 mana? This one's 5 mana and it should be 10 mana.
Yeah.
And it would still be like a A or an S tier card. Probably a closer to an A than an S tier.
Yeah, it would be a A. I don't think it would be S. It doesn't do enough immediately.
Yeah. I mean, 10 mana is a lot different than 6 mana. You need to scale up significantly higher. But my point is, this is like, well, why? Why 5 mana? Why a 4/5? Why is Aralon? Look at Aralon, by the way. That's not a 4/5. That's a 1/1 man. That is not a 4/5 man. All right. There's not much to say about this. People are going to draft Hunters. Not because of Aralon. Aralon's a legendary. Maybe not even because of Wild Spirits. It's an epic. You're not going to see it. Like, if you are trying to draft Hunter and trying to get Wild Spirits and Aralons, you are going to be disappointed a lot. Because you're going to get them rarely. But you will still be very happy with all of your collateral damages, your Spirit Poachers, your Frenzied Fangs, your Stonebound Gargans. Those are all A or S tier cards. And all in the new set. So they all have offering on bonuses. Like, Hunter's going to dominate. That's just going to be that.
Pretty much. Once again, strongest total package of cards that any class has ever gotten. I think pretty easily. Mm-hmm. Like from the very beginning, we highlighted some cards that I think anybody would be happy to have, right? Like any class would be very happy to have. And then you introduce these utterly insane, broken cards and it's too much. I don't know why Blizzard printed this package. When I saw like these wild seeds immediately, I just couldn't understand. I was like, this can't actually be something that's printed, right? It's too much value. It's not even like conditional.
No,
They're
it's
just good.
guaranteed. There's no RNG, or
There's no
there's some RNG in some of the cards, but really there's not that much RNG.
yeah, sorry. It's like if somebody said, "Hey, if you pay 50 cents, you have a one-third chance of winning like $100, a one-third chance of winning like $200, and a one-third chance of winning like $300." Like, are you gonna take it? You might only win 100 by paying 50 cents. Yeah, it's you don't really care in the end. Whatever you get, you're gonna be real happy about it.
All right, that's it for Hunter. We gotta move on. We gotta move on.
We got to move on, but this was so like
Oh,
I agree with you. I think it has to be nerfed. It has to be banned in some way. And especially with the sets that are coming back, you are creating a very polarizing potential
mhm.
meta in which if hunters have these, they are going to absolutely feast on anyone that they face. You
Yep.
know, like we just went through a little bit of it with Bloodseeker, right? Like people
Yes.
saw the effect that Bloodseeker on 2 had and how it could single handedly win them the game and run away with the game. This is kind of the same thing, except there are more of them.
A
It's like
lot
there
more of
are
them.
multiple mana'd Bloodseekers. It's crazy good.
And remember, there's still collateral damage. There's still frenzy feint. So this is just it's just silly. And also, Chad has reminded us that we did not do the last legendary. Okay, we'll do the last
Oh,
legendary. It's only a A plus. It's like chump change for Hunter now. It's Huntsman, Altimore. It's a 7 mana 5/4 battle cry. Summon a Gargan companion. What is a Gargan companion? A Gargan companion is wow. They do not tell you what a Gargan companion is on their main website. Um,
well, no, they should show it, right? On the bottom, they
they
have
do
like,
not.
no, they don't show Gargan Companion. It's not called Gargan Companion. It's called like other things. They're basically animal companions.
They do not show it.
It's a, wait, really? I thought they
Yup.
showed it. I thought I looked at it. They're animal companions.
Yes, they are animal companions,
Yes.
but no, they do not show it. They are animal companions, which are normally 3 mana, and like 3 mana to get a random one. They're generally old school, what would be the equivalent of 4 mana cards, but new school, they're probably like 3.5 mana cards. So Battle Cry, summon a Gargan Companion. You also get a 5/4 for 7 mana. Pretty good. Infuse 4, summon another. Infuse 8, and another. So, Infuse 8 is actually pretty hard to trigger. Like, even if you have this card in your opening hand, it's going to take a while before 8 of your minions die. Infuse 4 is the more reasonable one. But either way, it's a good card. Even if it had no Infuse, it would be a pretty good card, but with a relatively simple Infuse and then a hard Infuse that makes it even stronger. It's just a good card. It's an A plus.
Yep. Cool. All right, that's Hunter. We spent a lot of time on here, but I think it was necessary. Like, strongest total package given to any class in any expansion. And then, of course, it's always going to be the latest expansions we're talking about because whatever, like Witchwood is not going to compete. All those sets are not going to compete. But it means something because we've seen a lot of strong sets from quite a few classes, and this easily tops all of them.
Yep. All right. I want to give a shout out to our top Patreons. RV Night Train, Yin, Eric L, Dan F, Karova, Ari G, 4P and brand new. Thank you guys so much for supporting the GOAT. And also a shout out to our video editor, David Attenborough says, who is undergoing a medical procedure right now and is still doing the uploads. If you're watching this live and you missed some or you want to catch it, you can just always watch it on Twitch, but they will be uploaded onto the like in podcast form more or less right after the show by Merps, and they will be on the video form being released hopefully the next morning. If not the next morning, sometime the next day. We're going to try to get it out before the set actually launches, but we suffered the delays because of the blackout, and so we're a day behind, and we always cut it close anyway. So yeah, a huge shout out to David Ambrose says for staying on top of it. All right. We will do Mage next, and Merps' stupid skeletons. Until then, this is Oddwick though.
This is Merp. See you guys.